Well, hello everybody and welcome again to a Friday edition of Lunch Break Live. Real talk about obesity, food obsession, recovery, and what's really eating you. I am Cari and on today's show, I've changed my mind. I could have a couple of meanings and a whole lot of ramifications if I'm not careful, because I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to be talking about what I thought I was going to be talking about when I came up with the title for the show. How's that for some decisiveness? Well, before I launch into it, as I was so rudely interrupted before, I'm serious, you guys, this is like a daily thing. Absolutely every day, my first attempt at going live bombs out, and then I have to come right back in and try again. I don't know what that's all about, but I sure would love to solve it. Anyway, before I get in too deeply, you should know who I am, and you know, this crazy redhead who wants to change your mind all the time? I am a 2007 gastric bypass post-op, living life in recovery from obesity and obsessive compulsive food addiction as twice the woman in half the body. I'm also a recovery rebel and strategist, and what that means is I'm going to put myself out there and say stuff that most people won't tell you. And I'm going to help you find and own your crap so you can find and own your recovery. So that's me. As usual, I want to find out about you guys. Who is here? Let me check it out. And hey, if you're a newbie, if you're a newer viewer, let me know. Give me a shout out. You know, shoot me some thumbs up, happy faces, leave your comments, leave it in the comments and let me know that you are here for the first time. Mama, you made it right there, front and center. Cleo, how are you? And Nancy's here. And Melissa, hi, you found me, Melissa. Yes, you know what? If you're looking for me, I am going to be right where you don't expect me to be, which is, you know, going live the first time. You're going to find me on the second attempt. Please share the show, just like Melissa has learned to do from the beginning, and my mom, and I think Nancy has also learned. Share the show, then it will get out there and more people will find me before I get too deep into the subject. Michelle, woo, end of week 2, huh? How you doing? Jerry, welcome back. And Jimbo, hey, I haven't seen you for a while, but I've seen some really cute pictures of you and Nicole. That is super awesome. Really happy for the two of you. Georgette, welcome. Glad that you are here. All right, guys. So listen, title of today's show is I've Changed My Mind. Hi, Lee. Is it Leah or Lee? Leah. I'm going with Leah because that's how it's spelled. Welcome in. Really glad that you guys are here, that you're here. Okay, so listen, on today's show, I said, all right, I've changed my mind. And the motivation for that is the fact that I realized if I want to change my behavior, if I want to change the things that I do, I have to change the way I think about those things, okay? And that means I'm going to have to find an answer that resonates within me that taps into the feelings I'm having behind those thoughts, all right? So that's sort of the essence of it. Let me just kind of start with what I typed and we'll go from there, all right? If I want to change my behavior, I have to change the way I think about what I want to do. And if I want to change the way I think about what I want to do, I have to change the way I feel about it, okay? And that's a complicated way of saying I have to change my mind if I want to change my behavior, and since what I feel determines what I do, I have to see why I haven't felt like doing it before. Okay? That's what I talk about every single day on the show. It's like what's eating us that we're feeding, okay? It's eating us up because those feelings really, really do determine so much of what we decide that we are going to do. If we don't feel like doing something, how likely are we to do it? Sure, sometimes we do. Sometimes we push through. Some of us are raised not to let feelings get in the way. I don't care how you feel. You need to just do it. You need to handle it. Some of us are raised to believe that if you don't feel like it, you don't have to. Okay? And some of us are somewhere along that spectrum. Okay? But feelings are the things that we feed, and they really do shape our behaviors, and they really do shape our thoughts. And our thoughts also shape our feelings and our behaviors, right? The things we say to ourselves, the things we think about ourselves definitely affect how we feel, often make us feel bad. And when we feel bad about ourselves, how likely are we to make healthy choices and do healthy things, you see? So I realized that a really big part of my recovery is examining what I'm thinking about that thing that I am not doing, that maybe I think is a good idea, right? I've got to examine what I'm thinking about it, because that's going to be a sure indicator. It's going to point to how I'm feeling about it, all right? So I know it seems maybe straightforward, but for a long time, I did not connect my emotions to my thoughts or my thoughts to my emotions. I didn't connect those two things. And I certainly did not connect my emotions and my thoughts to my actions. For some reason, those things were just not connected. It was as if they were all just going on out there in space, just floating around or something. And I guess maybe I thought I lived in a vacuum. I like to say that. I thought I lived in a vacuum where someone could tell me I needed to change what I was doing, like eat less, move more, and I'd just do it. No, I mean, it's just floating out there. It's not like I didn't know what I was supposed to do, but did I not think it was a good idea? Or did I allow how I was feeling about myself to get in the way of doing what I needed to do to get better, to lose weight? Clearly, I don't live in a vacuum. That's pretty obvious. I don't think many of us do live in a vacuum, whether it's a Dyson or otherwise. And that means I don't always do the wise thing, okay? And I'm certainly not in a perfect world or fantasy land, which is where I used to live before. So I like to think I'm living in Truthville now. Yeah, Truthville. And that's where I can get to the heart of what's eating me by being honest with myself. That is so huge. I have to be honest with myself about the things that are eating me up, getting to the heart of what's eating me up, being honest about the things that I'm doing or not doing and the things that I'm thinking or not thinking. So there's a lot of stuff going on up in my head at any given time where I am working on the work that I'm doing, the work of recovery. And make no mistake about it, recovery is work, okay? It is something that I think I become more proficient at working the work. In other words, I take a little less, it doesn't take as long for me to recover from things that used to lay me out flat for a week or 2 weeks that would really eat me up, and I would eat over, okay? They used to just, like I said yesterday, I was talking about if I made a mistake in speaking, right? If I made a funny noise or if I said something wrong, it would reverberate in my head. It would echo over and over and over for the rest of the day in my voice, and I would hear it and I would beat myself up. Stupid, why did you do that? That sounded so dumb, okay? And how did I feel about myself? I felt worthless. I didn't feel very good about myself because of what I was thinking about myself. And people who don't think very highly of themselves and don't feel very good about themselves aren't likely to do healthy things like forgive themselves, especially when there's no forgiveness required. It was a mistake, right? I misspoke. But I would throw it all into the pot of, the proof pot that said I wasn't, worthy. That's just evidence of that fact. You see what I'm saying? So that's how all of those thoughts, work together with the feelings and work together to affect the things that we do for ourselves or to ourselves. All right. So that's kind of like a long setup, I guess you could say, to explain the title of today's show. But after seeing some of your comments yesterday on yesterday's LBL, where I talked about peace through patience, okay? And I was explaining to you about the situation I'd had where my mom was on the receiving end of my behavior that I was chalking up to being stress, but in reality, I figured out was my impatience, Okay, so I was kind of talking to you about the process that I was working through for my recovery. And you know what? In talking through it, I realized that I don't typically change my behavior without a really good reason. Oh boy, high standard, right? High bar that I set. Got to have a really good reason. And I think a lot of us are like that. Well, I'm not going to change my mind unless you give me a really, really good reason. And that really good reason has to feel like a good idea, right? It feels good in my soul. It's like, yes, that makes perfect sense. I understand. Yes. Okay, got it. That's going to impact the way that I feel about it. It feels good. It feels like a good idea. Yes. All right. So if you don't give me a really, really good reason, I probably won't do it. I mean, that's just the reality of it. That's how I'm wired. I need a really good reason to do things. That's kind of been my life story, right? Interestingly, a really good reason to lose weight might have been for my health or my mobility or any number of other things. That's a really good reason. Clearly, I was getting in the way, and how I felt about myself was strongly impacting the way I thought, about things. Therefore, it didn't sound like a very good idea to me because it didn't sound like something I could do. Right? So I used to dismiss it out of hand because of that, because my feelings and my thoughts got in the way. All right. What motivates me to change my behavior, and I think this is super important, won't necessarily motivate you. Because, we're all motivated a little bit differently, right? Maybe a carrot will motivate some people. Other people need to have chocolate, okay, right? Other people are going to need a good shove. Don't just give me a carrot to follow. You're going to have to shove me into it, right? Hug and a shove. Okay, but if the reason resonates with us, whatever that reason is, there's a greater chance of successfully modifying our behavior. That's what I think. This is kind of the conclusion I've come to. If it resonates with me, if it sounds truthful, if it sounds meaningful, if it sounds reasonable, there's a much better chance that I will change the way I think about it and that will affect my behavior accordingly. So a lot of people think, for example, that shame is a great motivator. They're like, okay, if you feel ashamed, right? If I can shame you into it, maybe I'll change your behavior and you'll start doing things differently because you don't like feeling ashamed. You don't like the feeling of shamed, right? But it's like, if you can make me feel bad enough about myself and my behavior, I'll fix the problem. That's the conclusion, right? But that technique, that doesn't always work with people, especially not those who battle with obesity and addiction, right? Because you can't possibly make me feel worse about myself than I already feel. So, you know what, just throw it in the pile with everything else. Just throw another heap of dirt on me. I'm already in a big enough hole. Just go ahead and bury me with it. I don't care. See? So that shame, which might have a purpose, healthy shame, that just gets lumped in with everything else. It gets very convoluted and very confused in a mind of someone that already is drowning in and poisoned by shame. So I want you to think about it for a minute, right? When I weighed 320 pounds, I was told that I should just move more and eat less. Very logical, right? And I was told, well, it was a shame that I didn't do it. It's just a shame that you won't do something about this. So I felt ashamed, but I still didn't do anything about it. Why not? If shame is such a great motivator, if you should be able to shame me into it, why didn't I do anything about it? Ever tried to shame someone to stop smoking? Ever tried to do that? Secondhand smoke kills. You're hurting other people, or what? You should not smoke because you're just going to encourage your children to become smokers because they see you and they're going to model their behavior after you. Or, what? Smoking makes you look older, a lot older. And smoking is going to hurt your vocal cords, and you have such a pretty voice and you're not going to be able to sing anymore. You know what? If you keep smoking, you're going to die younger. Smoking costs a lot of money. See what I'm saying? It's like all of those things that we're saying, okay, designed to what? Shame you into quitting smoking. Shame you into feeling bad about yourself. Well, look, people that smoke already know that stuff. They're going to continue to smoke because of the thoughts they have. Maybe those thoughts are, I can't possibly quit. I can't live without it. I like it too much. I am addicted because of the nicotine and, the chemicals in there. And, they're designed to be addictive. What else would I do? It's become such a behavior now. Okay. They have all that thinking. So until we find something that sounds like a really good idea to change the way we think about it and ourselves, how likely is it that the behavior is going to change? All right. I know it seems kind of obvious, but here's another one. Ever tried to shame a drug addict into getting clean because they have sunk to such low levels, that they will do anything, including sell their body or steal money to get drugs, right? They're stealing from people or they don't bathe, right? They stink. They don't take care of their appearance. The house is a mess. How can they live like that? Shame on you, we say. And then they keep right on getting high. So that shame backfired. That didn't work because they already feel worse about themselves than you're trying to make them feel. So that's not resonating with them. That's not doing anything for them. That's not motivating them to feel differently so that they'll change their thinking, so they'll change their behavior. Here's another way shame doesn't work, especially not for me, all right? And this is very funny, and it does work on some people. Absolutely. It just absolutely has never worked on me. And the minute I became aware of that fact, I stopped beating myself up for the fact that it didn't work on me, all right? Here's the technique. And And it may not be working on you either, by the way. It may or it may not. All right. Clean your plate, because there are starving children in, insert country, depending on when you were born. Ethiopia, India, China. Okay. Clean your plate. Well, you trying to shame me into cleaning my plate? Tell you what, here, give them my plate, because I don't like what's on it anyway. Just give them my food. That's what you think, right? So in other words, that's not resonating with me. The fact that there are starving children somewhere when I'm a kid and I don't like the food that's on my plate, I don't want it. You can't shame me into eating everything just because somebody else is hungry somewhere, right? Or how about this? Stop complaining about your bad knee. Just stop it, okay? Because you know what? You should be thankful you have a good knee, okay? Because there are some people who have no knees at all. Wait a minute. So I'm supposed to feel better about the fact that my knee hurts because some people don't have knees? Okay, but I do, and it hurts. I have 2 knees, and one of them hurts all the time. See what I mean? You're trying to shame me into it because somebody else doesn't have a knee or 2? Okay. I didn't say niece, by the way, like a nephew, niece. I didn't, knees, all right? That thing that, is below your shrinkly thighs. All right. So, how about this? You know what? You should treat your dog better. You should, because you're going to be sorry when he's gone. And a lot of people don't have a dog anymore because their dog died. So you need to treat your dog well while your dog is still alive. Because my dog died. Let's be honest about it. My dog died, so you should appreciate yours. The fact that you don't have a dog or that a dog died, you're trying to shame me into appreciating the dog that I have when that dog keeps, pooping on the rug. I'm struggling with this. All right? See what I'm saying? Are we getting closer here? Okay, hang on. I'm not pointing anybody out, not judging anybody. I'm just telling you how I operate, how my brain works. What I'm getting at is this. If the motivation behind the persuasion or explanation or rationalization or justification or whatever you're talking about, if it doesn't resonate with me, or if it rings hollow, like, yeah, no, okay, it doesn't do anything for me, then I am probably not going to feel like I need to change. And that is why recovery can be so tricky, because we have to be persistent enough. We have to, absolutely not give up. We have to persevere, and we have to keep pushing for whatever it is that's blocking us, that's getting in the way. And we have to be very creative thinkers sometimes. And we also have to be open to it. That's true. Some of us are closed off and say, I'm not going to talk about it. Don't want to talk about it. No. Off limits, off the table. Okay, I get that. Well, on yesterday's show, I explained how I realized that my stress was not just, run-of-the-mill stress, which is why I was having so much trouble getting relief, because I kept trying to chalk it up to, well, it's just stress. It's just stress. I'm always stressed. Life is just stressful. Okay, but it wasn't ringing true. Something wasn't resonating with me. It was only when I figured out that it was my impatience. The impatience that was the culprit behind my stress, that I realized, okay, I was now able to see the full effect of my behavior and the full effect of that on me, how it was affecting me, and more importantly, how it was affecting others, namely my mom, who was on the receiving end of my unhealthy behavior. It's not fun to be around me when I am that way, but yet finding ways to de-stress or not be stressed, they weren't working for me. It was only when I realized at the heart of it, the root of it, what was really eating me up was impatience, that there was truth. It resonated with me. It was like a sounding, what is the word I'm looking for? It was just like a siren's call. It was like, yes, that is it. Okay. Now that I feel it here. Okay, I got to work on how I think about things, don't I? I need to change my mind. I had to change my mind a whole lot to live in recovery. I had to change the way I thought about myself and felt about myself, change my behaviors, change the things that I did, look at food differently, change the way I looked at food. Okay, change the way I look at myself and the role that I play in my own sickness, okay, in my own obesity, in my own addictions. Okay, I had to change the way I thought about that, all right? Now, rather than feeling ashamed that I was having my stress all over her, what I was really looking for was some truth that would enable me to stop doing that. That if I could get to the heart of it, then I could work on my behavior so my mom would not have to be on the receiving end of that stuff. And a lot of people, including my mom, were like, oh, don't worry about it, or oh, you should love your mom while she's here, and you should appreciate her more. And that wasn't the point of it. I wasn't saying that I don't appreciate my mom. I was saying I do appreciate my mom, and that's why I was working so hard to figure out what it was that I was allowing to get in the way of giving her the fullness of my love and compassion. That was the point of the message. Not that I don't think I don't appreciate her and that I'll only learn to appreciate her when she's gone. Oh God, that's so morbid. No, I'm saying I want her to feel more appreciated. Therefore, I have to change my mind about things, the way I'm seeing and thinking and interpreting things, so that it will not be eating me up inside and, coming out all over her in a bad way. All right. For example, all right, I'm going to come back around to this whole how shame doesn't work for me, or how this technique doesn't work for me and may not work for you. And then you beat yourself up because it doesn't work for you, because you're like, shame on me, because, that should do it for me. And it really doesn't. Think about this. You know what? I complained a lot, like this week or last week, that, I can't plug my car in. I'm really upset about that. And now I have to pay to plug it in. And you know what people were saying? Well, at least you have a car. Oh, well, okay, but I don't understand. I'm upset that I have to plug my car in. I had to change my thinking about the value of being able to plug in. I had to change my expectations. I had to change the way I was looking at it and saying, okay, here's the reality. Time for an adjustment. The reality is they don't offer that service to me anymore here, so I'm going to have to change my thinking about it, or I can just let it eat me up. It's my choice. But it's not because I have a car. It's because I need to change the way in which I think about my car. I don't like my job. Well, at least you have a job. Oh, man, you know what? I have to clean up my house, and that is just a lot of work. Well, at least you have a house. Yeah, my shoes really hurt my feet. Well, at least you have shoes. At least you have feet to put shoes on. Some people don't even have feet. That doesn't do it for me. Does that make me uncompassionate? Does that mean that I don't care? I'm insensitive and I don't care about people that have no feet? And, am I supposed to not care about people that don't have a car and don't have a job and don't have a house? No, it has nothing to do with that. And yet, isn't that the go-to for so many people? They dig into that bag and they go, this is going to fix everything for you. This is going to put it right back into perspective for you. At least you have a car. There, don't you feel better? Well, no. No, as a matter of fact, I don't. I'm actually a little bit irritated now that you thought that would help, but that's all right. It's not about you. It's about me, right? Okay. See what I'm saying? So if it doesn't work for you, don't beat yourself up about it. All right. I'm airing it. Okay. I'm putting it out there. I'm saying, that doesn't work for me. Does that make me a bad person? No. What I do about it, however, okay, if I blow it out of proportion and lose perspective and have it all over other people, well, then that's not okay. That is not okay. The fact that my feet, hurt if I'm walking all over you, that's not okay. So I guess the bottom line is, am I supposed to be ashamed, that I have a car, a job, a house, and feet? Or is the goal for me to appreciate the value of those things and not take them for granted? See, that's very different. And people, think that that's what they're telling me when they're saying that, but that's not what I'm hearing. That's not what I'm feeling. It's not resonating with me. You know what? I don't want to take them for granted. Of course I don't. So what's getting in the way? And do I have influence over it? That's really the big question. I cannot stress enough to you guys how important truth is in my journey. Truth. And you know what? Truth sounds different. It comes to us in different forms. We hear truth in many different ways. The way I hear truth may not be the way you hear truth. And you know what? Some of us are not prepared to hear truth right now. We can't hear it, all right? We're deaf to it, all right? And the thing is, if I don't hear that truth presented to me as a solution in a way that's meaningful to me, I'm not going to apply that solution or change my mind. And I'm going to get stuck. And that's kind of the message for today, is I want to encourage you guys to understand, instead of beating yourselves up and saying you're losers just because the solutions that are being presented to you and you're not applying them, it's because you need to change your mind. And in order to do that, you need to look at what's getting in the way. How you're feeling about it. You need to step back and go, okay, what's getting in the way of what would seem to be a perfectly reasonable explanation to most other people, and yet falling on deaf ears when it comes to me, right? Rather than beat yourself up, try and hear it differently, look at it differently, find the truth in it, find the reality, what's really getting in the way. In my life, recovery did begin with a change of mind. And that change of mind was possible because I had a change of heart. I had a change of heart. And that change of heart, well, that was possible because I could finally hear that truth. You know, forgiveness, compassion, humility, all of those things, I welcomed those things into my heart and into my head in order for me to be able to change my mind about the things that I believed I couldn't do or the things I didn't want to do and the things that I needed to do. I had to change that, all right? Let's see here. What time is it? Yeah, you know, I wrote some other stuff, but really, here's the bottom line, all right? A lot of us get hung up on the why. And I always say, you know what, that why gets in the way. You don't need the why in order to change your behavior. You know, it would be really easy for me to get hung up and say, like I was starting to do this morning in traffic on the way in, why are people so inconsiderate? Can't you see I'm trying to get over? Why do you keep blocking me? Why aren't you watching out for me? Why are you so inconsiderate and just close? Okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because knowing why it's happening, they don't see me, they're in a hurry, they're trying to get over themselves. I mean, they don't want me to get over, you know, competitive. A lot of people, you ain't getting over, okay? Whatever. Knowing the why is not going to change the reality of the fact that they're not letting me over and I'm not getting over, all right? So when I get hung up with the why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? Doesn't help me. The reality is this is what's happening for whatever reason. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to have to let that one go. I know what I want. I want to get over and get off at that exit, not the one that's a mile up the road. That's what I want. Okay, I may not be able to get it. And knowing why someone is not going to allow me to get it is not going to change the fact that I'm not going to get it. So I need to change my thinking about insisting on the why and just saying, because it is. And what am I going to do differently? Well, maybe I get out of the carpool lane a little bit sooner, huh? Maybe so. Change my behavior. Change my thinking. All right? So, I guess that's it. You know, kind of about this whole idea of changing your mind. And in order to do that, you got to accept the reality of what is. And, you know, then you can work on how you feel about that reality. But think about it clearly, you know, with a clear mind and being present, all right? Then you can change your mind instead of getting upset about it. You can let it go. There's a good behavior that I think all of us can get behind and some of us sing to, right? Let it go. Right? Let it go. Why won't we let it go? Because we just have very strong feelings about it because of our maybe misunderstood thoughts about it. So that's the show for today about changing my mind. And before I sign off and go back and see what you guys are talking about offline, I do want to encourage you all, if you're in the Southern California area, specifically, you know, Long Beach, LA, Orange County, Cypress, Huntington Beach, anywhere around there, and you have been looking for a biblically based 12-step program, I have the pleasure, the honor of speaking at the Celebrate Recovery meeting tonight. I will be speaking at 7 o'clock. However, the festivities begin at 6 o'clock, and there is Elevate, which is a U2 cover band. They're going to be performing, and then there's like a fun jump for the kids, and everything else is a family event. And then the Celebrate Recovery meeting officially starts at 7 o'clock, and that is happening over at Seacoast Grace Church. And let's see, they're located at 5100 Cerritos Avenue in Cypress. All right, all are welcome. I encourage you to come check it out if you're looking for a biblically based 12-step program to deal with addiction, compulsive overeating. Why not give it a shot? Come on out, spend a little time with me tonight. I'm going to be talking about victory over addiction. Victory through recovery. It should be a fun night. So I hope I see you. And if you are there, please make sure you run up, give me a hug, and tell me your name. I think everybody should just wear name tags every day, all day, if you ask me. There's nothing wrong with that. Just, Laverne had a big L on her shirt. We should just have our names on our shirts. And that way I don't have to guess anymore who you are. It's not that you don't matter. It's just that my brain does not like to think that way. All right. And I feel bad about it. Whoops. All right. Listen, I'm going to let you guys go for the week, but I am going to sign off and remind you all to have courage, seek peace, embrace joy, and above all, celebrate your recovery. Remember, you can't stop feeding what's eating you if you don't know what's eating you. Have a great weekend, you guys. Share the show, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye.